This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, and faith-focused feature stories with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Closing the gap. Good afternoon. Welcome aboard. A new Siena poll, hot off the presses, shows New York gubernatorial candidate Bruce Blakeman has cut Governor Hochul's lead in half in just 2 months. Back in June, Hochul had a 20-point advantage. Today, it's just 10 points. We'll talk more about the campaign a little later in the broadcast. Ballot box shock. That's the other big story today. Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong was dealt a major blow in battleground Wisconsin last night. Despite having a huge lead in the polls, she lost to a moderate from Milwaukee in a race that tested the mettle of socialist policies in the Midwest. Fox's Madeline Rivera has more.
This was not the outcome that many had predicted. Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley beat Francesca Hong by less than a percentage point. Establishment Democrats are certainly celebrating this win. They were afraid that a Hong victory would essentially hand the GOP the keys to the governor's mansion in November.
Political pundit Cassie Smeldy says socialism does not jibe with working class Wisconsinites.
So I do think Wisconsin is a very interesting commentary, not just on DSA, but on where the traditional Democrat voter wants to be and who they want to vote for. Because as a reminder, Crowley wasn't in the race. He got back in. He was in a distant fourth, didn't see his path to victory. He got out, and Tony Evers, the sitting governor, said, no, we need you. And he hitched his wagon to him and brought him across the finish line. So very interesting there last night.
It wasn't a total loss for the far left. However, last night in Minnesota, progressive Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan emerged victorious in a U.S. Senate primary.
This campaign was about the many versus the money. Well, guess what? The many just won.
She'll face off in November against former NFL sideline reporter Michelle Tafoya, who won the Republican nomination. Meantime, in South Carolina, the special election to replace the late Senator Lindsey Graham is headed to a runoff. Graham's sister Darlene will square off against Republican Congressman Ralph Norman in just 2 weeks.
I'm usually standing here celebrating with Lindsey. So I know he's looking down right now, smiling though, so that gives me peace, but it's difficult.
And in Connecticut last night, a 14-term Democratic congressman lost his primary to the former mayor of Hartford. Wicked weather in the Midwest has led to 3 deaths in Indiana and Ohio and a lot of damage in Illinois. Emergency officials say the scope of the damage is hard to put into words.
We have not had a disaster of this size before.
It's just devastating. It's heartbreaking.
It has been that kind of summer in the Midwest. More than 1 million people in 4 states have no power. 16 people were struck by lightning at a prison in Ohio. 3 tornadoes touched down near Chicago. In Indiana, a 4-year-old boy was killed when a tree fell on his home. Another person died in a home explosion that was storm-related. The Trump administration says Medicaid will no longer fund sex change operations on kids. 17 states currently cover some form of so-called gender-affirming care. The president says the federal government is not going to pay for innocent children to undergo barbaric surgeries that cause irreversible harm to young bodies. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey has signed a law making the Bay State just the 10th state to allow abortions until birth. The law removes gestational age limits for women seeking to terminate their pregnancy. Pro-life activists call the statute egregious, adding that late-term abortions involve the dismemberment of unborn babies. The U.S. is among less than 10 nations that allow abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. We now have confirmation confirmation from the commander-in-chief about that secret overseas plane swap last month. The mission to ditch Air Force One happened while the president was departing Turkey. He seemed nonchalant about the whole thing while speaking to reporters last night.
I don't worry about anything, to be honest. Whatever it is, you know my attitude, whatever.
On July 8th, Mr. Trump was whisked away from Air Force One on a catering truck and then flown out of the country on a different jet.
I go by Secret Service and the military. They wanted me to go on a different flight, a different plane, equal safety, but they wanted me to do it, so I do it. I do what they say.
The cloak and dagger technique was used to fool Iran into thinking the president was aboard Air Force One at the conclusion of that NATO summit. Trey Yanks with Fox News continues our coverage.
It's a story that has captured the world attention this week, a threat against President Trump's life in Turkey last month. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that it was Israeli intelligence that tipped off the administration about this specific danger, which included a threat to use shoulder-to-air missiles to target Air Force One.
That's Trey Yanks reporting. Syria has just sentenced to death its former president, Bashar al-Assad. That verdict announced Tuesday in Damascus. Al-Assad is in Russia right now, where he was granted asylum along with his family following his ouster from power back in 2024. The dictator was convicted of crimes against humanity during Syria's 14-year civil war. Former U.S. Marine Robert Gilman is back in the U.S. after spending more than 4 years in a Russian prison. The release comes as concerns were growing over the Marine's health. The Gilman's family attorney thanked President Trump yesterday for playing a crucial role in the release, which came with no strings attached.
The credit is due to the White House and this administration for securing a humanitarian release of Mr. Gilman, and it shows that the sense of urgency that was placed on Mr. Gilman's health situation was clear enough that the government agreed, and we are just so thankful to see him on his way home right now.
Gilman's release came after direct talks with Russian ruler Vladimir Putin. Military affairs analyst Brent Sadler says Putin is playing nice to save face with Ukraine.
Clearly, right now, the war in Ukraine is not going very well for Russia. This could be perhaps trying to set a more favorable context in negotiations to come between the United States, Russia, and Ukraine.
Gilman, a 32-year-old Marine veteran, spent 1,666 days in captivity for getting into a fight with a Russian police officer. His family says he was subjected to torture, which put him into a catatonic state. At least 10 other Americans right now are being held against their will by the Putin regime in Russia. Stargazers, rejoice. You're being treated to a rare trifecta of cosmic spectacles today. It started this morning with a pre-dawn 6-planet alignment and then continues this afternoon with a total solar eclipse across parts of the northern hemisphere. We won't see that, but some of us could see a partial eclipse today. Peak viewing hours will be between 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. And then tonight it's the Perseid meteor shower, the best meteor shower of the year. Still to come on the Noon Report. Should AI be off limits to political ads? Unclaimed cash in the Keystone State. And it takes a lot of bills to watch the Bills in Buffalo.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. We'll be tracking some developing thunderstorms as we progress through the afternoon into the evening hours. Some could become feisty. We'll have forecast details up in 10.
All right, feisty. We'll be on the lookout for that. Thank you, Kevin. Let's check the stories making news where you live, all across New York and Pennsylvania. With the new school year about to begin, police in New York are reminding motorists about the rules of the road.
Drivers that are passing through school zones should be a little bit extra cautious, in case a kid darts across the roadway in an area that's not a designated crosswalk.
That's Chemung County Sheriff Bill Schramm, and he tells WETM.
Sometimes people think that what they're doing or where they're going is more important than the safety of children, so it's annoying You know, it's just a common courtesy thing. It's a smart thing to watch your speed.
Fines for speeding in school zones in New York are double what they are for an ordinary ticket, and the sheriff says illegally passing a stopped school bus will add 8 points to your license. Pennsylvania residents, check your mailbox. You could have unclaimed cash on the way. State Treasurer Stacey Garrity has mailed letters to about 64,000 residents, letting them know that there is money to be had here. Qualified residents can receive anywhere from $500 to $10,000. The funds come in the form of unclaimed property, dormant bank accounts, uncashed checks, forgotten stocks, collectible coins, or savings bonds. Pennsylvania's Attorney General Dave Sunday is suing TikTok. He claims the social media platform misrepresented itself on app stores so it could get a lower age rating. Sunday calls that a violation of consumer protection laws.
TikTok claims mature audience content is infrequent on their apps. Our investigation reveals that this could not be further from the truth. And it is TikTok's 13-plus age rating that opens the gate for kids. That age rating gives parents the illusion of safety, but actually opens the door to putting content literally in the palm of our kids' hands whenever they want it.
Sunday says TikTok encourages excessive, compulsive, and addictive behavior. Research shows social media use can lead to increased anxiety and depression in children. New York Democrats want the State Board of Elections to take action against AI advertising in political campaigns.
It's important that people are held accountable. The law is very clear.
That's Jay Jacobs. He's the chairman of the New York State Democratic Committee. Jacobs says GOP gubernatorial candidate Bruce Blakeman is breaking the law by using artificial intelligence in a new attack ad against Governor Hochul, his opponent in the fall election.
We thought that it was just silly nonsense earlier on, but now it's apparent that this is the way he's going to conduct his campaign.
Jacobs says Blakeman's guilty of false advertising by not putting labels on ads that use AI-generated depictions of the governor. The Republican candidate is adamant he's not breaking any law.
They're trying to cheat. They're trying to say, hey, Blakeman's using AI. Everybody knows it's AI, and it's funny. Satire and humor have been a part of political campaigns since George Washington.
Once again, Jay Jacobs.
You can call it satire if you want, but I don't think he's in the amusement business right now. I think he's in the trying to win an election business, and I think he's doing so, as I've said, fraudulently.
As mentioned earlier, a just-released Siena poll shows Governor Hochul's lead over Bruce Blakeman has been whittled down to 10 points 2 months ago. Hochul enjoyed a 20-point advantage. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman is rejecting a call by his Democratic colleague Bernie Sanders for a pause in AI development. That story from Family Life's Sarah Harnish.
Sanders demanded in an open letter to CEOs of OpenAI, Anthropic, and Meta that they stop work on their systems until their capabilities are better understood. Fetterman said in an X post that disrupting development would allow China to take the lead in the race to dominate the industry, which has buoyed an otherwise sagging American economy. China has gained ground in its chase to the U.S.'s hold on the industry, improving its model's capabilities and introducing cheaper alternatives to American systems. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
Thank you, Sarah. New York's top doc is weighing in on President Trump's executive order for childhood immunizations. It reduces the number of recommended vaccines and spreads out the time frame for when those shots would be administered.
There was no new research or information presented with the executive order.
State Health Commissioner Dr. James McDonald telling Spectrum News the order doesn't mean adjustments will be made right away.
There's nothing that changes in New York State right now.
Dr. McDonald says the MMR changes might not take effect at all, since the vaccine is only offered in a single 3-dose shot.
The vaccine isn't manufactured as separate components. You're going to need to find some company that's willing to manufacture the vaccine. Then it has to be approved again.
The combined MMR shot has been used for 55 years, with children typically getting their first dose between the ages of 12 and 15 months. and their second between the ages of 4 and 6 years old. The 186th annual Erie County Fair is underway in Western New York. It is the third largest county fair in the country. The fairgrounds span 275 acres in Hamburg. The 12-day event features agricultural exhibits, grandstand shows, midway rides, and nearly 40 brand spanking new fair foods this year. And a dubious distinction for Western New York's professional football team. We hear about it from Family Life's Dee Haley.
The Buffalo Bills now rank as the National Football League's most expensive team to see live, according to an Action Network report. The digital sports outlet analyzed more than 500,000 tickets across all 32 NFL teams, factoring in stadium food, drinks, and parking to determine the average cost for a family of 4 to attend a game. Highmark Stadium topped the list at $2,193.95, the highest total in the league. It's the fourth year the Action Network has run the study. Dee Haley, Family Life News.
All right, Dee, thank you for that. And still to come on the Noon Report, a midweek edition. Socialism stalls in Wisconsin. Back to school jitters and no phone phobia.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. A longtime friend who's had great success incorporating artificial intelligence into an already successful business likened our recent Colson Center Great Lakes Symposium on Artificial Intelligence to an old man yelling, "Get off my lawn." And he's not exactly wrong. Our speakers, myself included, spent the majority of the evening warning against the dangers that are inherent in this incredible technology. These warnings should be heard and they should be heeded. And probably the most important advice of the entire evening was that each and every one of us has to closely evaluate how we are using AI, especially the habits that we're forming as we do. But at the same time, to only say what's wrong with AI is to only tell part of the story, both of the world and of the complicated relationship humans have always had with technology. Praxis, a network of Christian entrepreneurs that trains leaders and inspires innovation, describes 3 ways that any venture or technology can be used. The exploitative way is a take what it can get, zero-sum, I win, you lose posture. In contrast, the ethical way does things right, follows the rules, and aims for a fair deal. But then there's a third way, according to Praxis partner Andy Crouch, the redemptive way, which is fundamentally others-centered and echoes the pattern of Jesus laying down his life to save the world. Like him, our work should be driven by an I sacrifice, we win mindset. Because our technologically driven culture is so driven only by efficiency and productivity, we rarely will hear stories of this third way. So here are 3. 3 stories that could be described rightly as redemptive uses of AI. The Rare Genomics Institute, founded and led by Dr. Jimmy Lin, uses genomic technology powered by AI-assisted analysis to help patients with rare undiagnosed diseases finally get answers, oftentimes after years and years of searching. With AI, Rare Genomics can help and heal people that the market has no incentive whatsoever to even care about. And then there's Every Tribe, Every Nation, an alliance of Bible translators, who recently reported that because of AI assistance, Bible translation timelines are being reduced by as much as 25 years. New translation efforts are being launched at a pace of every 17 hours. Today, only a few hundred of the world's heart languages remain untouched by any translation effort, and that number is shrinking fast. And after completing the Colson Fellows program, Jay Carlson launched the Apologist Project, a conversational AI solution built on biblical worldview and trained on the world's very best Christian apologetics content. It's empowering ministries in the U.S. and around the world to extend their digital reach to skeptics through evangelism and through discipleship. And of course, the dangers also remain, not least of which include the corrupted visions of humanity that drive those who are championing these technologies. Right now, our visions of AI run from those who want to help humans, to those who want to heal humans, to those who want to enhance humans, to those who want to just fully replace humans. Now, to put it mildly, we're going to need discernment if we're going to be able to tell the difference between these radically different visions of AI. and choosing only those uses within the first two visions while rejecting the uses within the latter two. Now, it's always been true that technologies can be used to deceive and to exploit, or to heal, to help, and to proclaim truth. The most important difference is not the technology itself, but who is using it and why. Christians are not just called to diagnose brokenness. We're called to find where God is at work and then to join Him there. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
Thank you, John. Outside next, weather where you live with meteorologist Kevin Williams.
Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast for this afternoon. Clouds and sun, thunderstorms and showers will be developing and progressing into the early nighttime hours. Where there is a thunderstorm, there can be a gusty wind and a downpour. High temperatures, low 80s. Later tonight, patchy clouds and fog, low temperatures, low 60s. Sun and clouds tomorrow, chance for shower, high temps, mid-70s to mid-80s. Decent amount of sunshine on Friday with high temperatures in the 70s to near 80.
All right, thank you, Kevin. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm your host, Bob Price. Lots to get to. Wednesday, the 12th day of August. A just-released Siena poll shows New York Republican gubernatorial candidate Bruce Blakeman has cut in half Governor Hochul's lead with about 80 days to go until the midterm elections. The survey gives the incumbent Democrat a 10-point advantage. 2 months ago, Hochul was up on Blakeman by 20 points. Blakeman will be campaigning this Friday with President Trump on Long Island. Democratic divide, a stunning upset last night in Wisconsin. Moderate Democrat David Crowley defeating far-left Democrat Francesca Hong in the Democratic primary for governor. Polls showed Hong with about a 20-point advantage going into the race, but her radical views proved too risky to voters in a state that was won twice by President Trump. Crowley got into this race late at the request of the outgoing governor. Fox's Alexandria Hoff.
The effort put forth by Wisconsin's outgoing Democrat Governor Tony Evers has worked. He backed Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley out of fear that Wisconsin voters in November would outright reject a Democrat socialist.
David Crowley moves on to face GOP Congressman Tom Tiffany in the general election in November. For the record, Wisconsin has not elected a Republican governor in a dozen years. President Trump says U.S. military might is on full display in the Middle East. He told reporters Tuesday,
"We have total control over the Hormuz Strait right now. They don't have control. We have total control. We own it. Right now, we're in a very good position. We have a country that has been the bully of the Middle East for 50 years, and they're no longer the bully of the Middle East."
Before the war started February 28th, shipping through the Strait of Hormuz was largely undisturbed. A fifth of the world's oil is transported through that 100-mile waterway. It's also crucial for the transport of natural gas and fertilizer. The White House confirms the commander-in-chief did, in fact, secretly swap planes as he left a NATO summit in Turkey last month. The switcheroo was pulled off while the president was on his way home from Ankara. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez.
New details on the elaborate ruse to whisk President Trump out of Turkey last month amid concerns of an Iranian assassination plot. A U.S. official telling NBC News the threat included the possibility of the Iranian regime targeting the president with a shoulder-fired missile.
That's Gabe Gutierrez at the White House today. ICE agents are getting high-tech in their enforcement of immigration law. Listen to this from Rory O'Neill.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement plans to spend $20 million on thousands of pairs of electric gloves capable of delivering painful shocks. The Kentucky company that makes the gloves says they offer a humane, low-optics de-escalation solution for many situations facing officers in the field. They say their gloves leave no burns, marks, or scars. The DHS contract says the electric gloves could be distributed as soon as next March. I'm Rory O'Neill.
The University of Michigan is changing its grading policy in 2027. Starting next fall, incoming freshmen at Michigan will not see a letter grade in their first semester. Instead, they'll get a pass or no credit score, all in the name of improving students' mental health. NASA says viewing conditions are ideal for the Perseid meteor shower tonight. Here's Natalie Migliori.
The Perseid meteor shower radiates from the Perseus constellation, and the meteors you'll see are dust debris from the comet Swift-Tuttle. It's considered the best meteor shower of the year, with about 50 to 100 meteors visible every hour. It's also known for its fireballs, which are larger explosions of light and color that can last longer than the average meteor streak. Night owls and early risers may be able to catch a peak, since the best viewing window is between midnight and sunrise in the northern hemisphere. I'm Natalie Migliori.
All right, let's hope for a good light show. Thank you, Natalie. You're listening to the Noon Report, a midweek edition on Family Life.
Some timely lessons on coping with back-to-school anxiety. Welcome back to another edition of Real Answers. It's a regular Wednesday feature during the Family Life Noon Report, where we discuss the issues that matter to families with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. Welcome back in, Chris.
Thanks, Mark. Good to be here. We were entering uncharted territory. Junior high school was a whole new ball of wax.
One of my favorite old TV shows, The Wonder Years, captured all of this so perfectly. Even though it's been decades for me personally, just mentioning back to school still brings a lot of strong memories rushing back. And not all of them are pleasant ones either. You know, heading back to class can be pretty traumatic stuff for a kid, especially if it's a new school.
Absolutely. And it could be a new school or just maybe moving to a new section of the building. Really, it all depends on the situation. But there's some good lessons in this. And I'm really excited to be able to delve into this and kind of get into some of the roots of this today.
You know, it has to be different now, too. In my pre-cell phone childhood, we might exchange some scouting reports on teachers or other kids over the summer, but social media, whole new ballgame, and probably not even just for teens these days.
That's true. There's been a lot of movement in the area of how to regulate cell phone usage within the schools, and I'm very glad to see that a lot of schools are saying no more cell phones in classrooms. I think that's a fantastic move. But really, the core issues still kind of remain, and that is getting used to a new group of students, a new set of peers, new teachers, a new building, a new state maybe if you're moving around, and some good strategies out there on how to cope with these specific situational anxieties.
I suppose with any issue, it's always good to define the symptoms that we're looking for. There's certainly a healthy amount of butterflies in the stomach, as we used to put it, but when things are getting a little beyond that, what are some things maybe a parent should be on the lookout for?
Just watch for changes in your child's behaviors. For example, maybe a child that's more outgoing is suddenly more quiet, more reserved. Maybe a child that is normally sleeping very well is beginning not to sleep. And it could be more direct as well. Maybe they're actually coming right out and saying, I'm scared or I don't want to go to school. When normally, let's say in years past, the child has had a very good record, we'll say, of going to school, not having any social or issues whatsoever in school. So really it's just knowing your child and knowing what these patterns are and then looking for any changes in that.
I suppose it could cut both ways as far as the technology thing goes. You know, in the old days, a new teacher, new classroom was a total mystery. You show up day one and it's like, let's find out. But teachers now these days, they reach out with lesson plans, shopping lists, and all that. So I suppose hopefully that can take some of the anxiety away.
Well, if anything, I would say that takes away some of the parents' anxiety.
Yeah.
But really the fact that the students have to be the ones going to the new building, they're the ones that we need to be thinking about in terms of how to prepare them. Now, it might be specific. They might have orientation days for your students where they come in as a group to meet the teacher on a specific day. They might be doing them little groups at a time. It all depends on how your school's handling it. Get them oriented to the layout of the school. Get them oriented to the main staff. For example, the principal, the nurse, the superintendent, and some of the support staff that they might see, so that as soon as they get there, it's not quite so unfamiliar. That can make a big difference as well. Doing some of this legwork ahead of time, doing some of this proactive introduction of your child into these situations can go a long way to helping to make these transitions a lot more smooth.
You're listening to Real Answers. I'm Mark Webster, along with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. person. We're talking about heading off some back-to-school anxiety. Like anything else in life, just feeling you're well prepared sure can make a big difference.
It sure can, and it really can make a difference if you know as a parent that your child's anxiety is a lot less now because you're doing some of this preparation work ahead of time. It can make letting them get on that bus for the first time or dropping them off at the front doors for the first time a lot easier if you know that your child, instead of being timid and afraid, you see them trot right into the school or right up onto the bus without any concerns. And that's another thing. Ask the school if the child can see the bus if they've never been on a bus before.
Here's a question. Are homeschoolers immune to all of this?
Not necessarily, especially if you have any kind of a co-op where the child might, let's say once or twice a week, be spending time with another homeschooling family or a group of children at a church or something like that. Again, it's just helping to make those transitions easier. So they might not have as much in the terms of having to get adjusted to new settings or new people, but that doesn't mean that there isn't there. So just think about within your own homeschooling plans, what they're going to be doing, what they're expected to do. And then that way you can also be proactive in helping them to get adjusted to their new school year as well.
School anxiety can, of course, be a valuable teaching moment here when it comes to trusting in God's plan and just his presence in our daily lives.
That's a great point, Mark, and how we address challenges. You're helping your children to think through that challenge. Help them to draw on past experiences where they did difficult tasks or encountered difficult situations but got through them successfully. Keep reminding them of that. And then keep reminding them, too, that, hey, in a few hours, you'll be right back here, and I can't wait to talk about how it went. It's going to be so much fun. We'll have your favorite meal tonight, celebrate the first day of school, build the day up, and help them to be excited about what they can do. You're creating a really special experience for them, even though these anxieties are there.
Maybe just a quick prayer just before they head out the door there.
I think that could be a great daily habit.
Absolutely.
With your children.
Yeah, and you got me thinking about coming home from school and smelling chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, that
was all worth
it. You got
it.
My vote. I kind of wish I'd grown up in your family, Mark.
Yeah. You've been listening to Real Answers, a Wednesday feature of the Family Life Noon Report, where we discuss the issues important to families with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. Thanks again, Chris.
Always my pleasure, Mark. Thank you.
I wish I was growing up in Mark Webster's family, too. Thank you, guys. Great topic today and timely as well. You can catch all our Real Answers podcasts online anytime. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or FamilyLife.org. And finally at noon for a Wednesday, no phone phobia. There's no question we are a culture that seems to be controlled by our smartphones. And now, new research reveals those who lose it will likely lose it. Here's Bree Tennis.
The handheld device has all the answers. It communicates with others and can throw you into a wild panic if you can't find it. That's called nomophobia. And you can hit that freak out within 1 minute of active searching. Increased heart rate, sweating, full-on dread. Psychologists say the distress is real and very similar to separation anxiety. YouGov says there's an easy solution. Put a tracker on it. Or maybe look in your hand. I'm Bree Tennis.
All right, Bree, thank you for that. And that's our world, folks, the world we live in. Wednesday, the 12th day of August. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.